It seems that the next big thing in technology is generative AI, where companies are trying to shove this down their throats in any way possible. From assistance programs on their phones, AI summaries on their video and web searches, and chatbots on social media, AI is being forced into our everyday life, no matter how unnecessary it may be. This push may be seen as strange at first, but is supported by the fact that AI, as of now, is extremely expensive, both in terms of money needed to create an algorithm and pushing information into it, and also into the sheer amount of energy and resources needed to maintain this technology. As of now, many companies are actually losing money with their investments into AI because there's simply not the proper infrastructure for it to be a cheap process. Nonetheless, AI is being pushed both to consumers, but more importantly, investors, with fantastical claims of innovation and efficiency. Even mentioning AI, no matter how useless it may be in a pitch, seems to be a magic word to inflate stock prices and benefit the investor class. As the revolutionary working class, it is thus important to understand what generative AI is, how it is used by the capitalist class to further steal from the workers, and how this technology in the future has the ability to liberate us when the workers' revolution is established. And to start off, it's important to note the definition of AI, and that in AI itself is a technology that has already been integrated in our lives, with examples being social media algorithms and text to speech or translating tools. Taking in a database of information and being able to produce an output is something that is inherent to all computers, even our most simple calculators. Generative AI is what is new and what is currently being discussed now, with it being able to create original content. Now, I put this in heavy quotations because this original content is not really original, in the sense of what we've seen as original before as humans. Generative AI content is a mashup of information that is linked together by the AI through information being fed and further categorization from previous outputs. It builds with more use and it builds with more data to be more efficient and more accurate. Though it does improve in accuracy and range with more use, generative AI is not able to think for itself or to create ideas. Rather, it is programmed to make associations, or associations are programmed into it as it is being used, and to spit information and results out. It does not possess the same intelligence people have to be able to interpret information and to be able to devise original ideas, which is why the idea of AI replacing humans is so contentious. Human ingenuity and creativity can never be properly replaced, in my personal opinion. When it comes to replacing human modes of production, however, is where some arguments are to be made of the dangers of generative AI. To properly understand why pushes are being made to implement generative AI everywhere, it could be useful to see it as not a new phenomenon, but instead a step in a cycle that has existed since the Industrial Revolution, in which capitalists use innovative new technology as a way to control the labor process and thus take more from the working class. Taylor's scientific management theory is the most commonly discussed historical example of this, in which workers who previously mastered their trade, being able to work all aspects of production, were then simplified to one repetitive action that deprived them of the technical know-how of what they were producing as a whole. Technology was always a useful ally to capitalists in this sense, where innovation made work more automatic and easier to master. Thus, workers were able to be paid below the production value and they had no room to fight. They were replaceable. If someone speaks up, there's no issue of them being fired and being replaced by someone who could do the same basic mechanics of their specific place in the production line. Going back to the 21st century, this method of production is now even more simplified with AI and robots, if you want to say it that way, and spans across more industries. The robots are now very common within factories, as they are now cheaper and easier to replace workers with. With AI, there is now a replacement for both skilled manual labor and in the service industry, for example, customer service, technical support, and programming, and then after programming, debugging. Instead of having workers who need to be paid a minimum wage and benefits and have the opportunity to organize against their bosses, there is now AI which promises to be cheaper than workers in the long run. This is what excites the capitalist and investor class, not the random AI features that are being forced into our phones, browsers, and social medias. It is even said that the rollout of these AI features makes them more palatable to workers and obscures the real intention of capitalists. And I quote Mark Allison in this, firing workers and demanding greater productivity from the few it does not cull. Um, Even with all this, however, it is foolish to fearmonger about generative AI destroying everything and completely dismiss it of its usefulness. Yes, with the way that our capitalist society is now, AI is being used as an enemy against the workers, where as it gets, and I put this in quotes again, smarter, we have more of a chance of losing our jobs and further means of survival. But there is still potential in AI being used more as the tool that it may have been intentioned to. Um, generative Generative AI is useful when it comes to compiling information and being able to check for things to an accuracy that humans can never accomplish. This has already been seen in where generative AI is already starting to revolutionize the medical sector, in which they're able to detect diseases cheaper and sooner than humans. The issue does not lie with the technology itself, but with the motivation of it being created and used, which is to further devalue the use of our work and put us under pressure for the benefit of the ultra wealthy. If generative AI is further developed within a revolutionary society that prioritizes the well being of its populace, rather than squeezing all the work value that they have, it can be used in a positive and productive manner where it assists humanity rather than the bottom lines of investors and CEOs.